Hello and welcome to Alcohol and Anime Night, the show that helps get you drunker, fatter, and I dare say quite a lot weirder. Tonight we are going to review the family-friendly, feel-good anime of 2021. What? We're doing redo of Healer? Ah, fuck. Alright, welcome to episode 2. We had a lot of fun the first pilot episode, learned a lot of stuff, and my name's Scott, and we're going to get straight away into today's anime. And the snack that we're going to be covering today, we're going to do both alcohol reviews and snacks as part of this whole thing, is the Fry's Private Selection beef jerky back there. Really good stuff. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But the show that we're talking about today, it's going to make you feel weird. That's all I can say about it. It's a show that just came out in 2021, January 2021. It is Kaifuku Jutsushi no Yarinaoshi, which is loosely translated to the redo of Healer. And to put it plainly, this show is about slavery, torture, rape, forced drug addiction, and revenge at all costs. It's uncomfortable. Even the censored version of it is uncomfortable to watch. And this is, in short, it's fucked up. That's it. This is not one for kids. This is not one for the faint of heart. This is not one you want to introduce your friends to anime on. And this comes from a guy who recommends Elfen Lied to friends, which is a great show. So it's a synopsis, and again, tons of spoilers here, at least for the first 5 episodes. That's all I was able to get through without kind of it just wasn't for me. I give every anime 3 episodes is kind of my rule, because it takes a little bit to get off the ground sometimes. This one I gave 5 because I knew I was going to do a review on it, but after that I kind of saw where it was going, and so it wasn't up my alley. Now, I don't want to seem like I'm no prude. I love the crazy violence, the R-rated, as R-rated as it can be. That's where I'm at. But this one pushed it a bit too far, and maybe that was the point. I don't know. So that's up for discussion. So the show is a fantasy style show. Ecchi is what they call it. Ecchi, I'll put it. It's like late night comedy kind of thing, or a late night, R-rated kind of, think of like old 80s stuff, just nudity for no reason and stuff like that. It centers around a character called Kairu, and he is a magician, and this is kind of like a fantasy kind of, swords and sorcery kind of world. And everybody has different types of powers, and if you have these certain kinds of powers, you can be involved in these different groups. And he has a healing power. Now, healers, although they're essential to most of these adventuring groups, they're not necessarily looked on as powerful. They're kind of like, well, we have to have them. They're like a medic. But they're essential to keeping their really strong fighting forces alive. And so he finds out that he's able to get and be part of one of these units. Now, again, tons of spoilers here, and most of this happens in the first episode, is that the healer, in order to do his healing, he actually feels all of the pain that he's healing. So it's horrible torture every time he has to actually heal someone. He doesn't realize that until he has to regenerate somebody's arm. That happens early on, and he's just in agony every time he has to do this. So eventually he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be part of this. And the group that he was part of, and this is where some of the other characters start to come in, Princess Flare, who is the other main character here, she enslaves him, absolute slavery, and gets him intentionally addicted to drugs, so that way he is dependent on her, and enslaves him for years to make him her basically healing pet and go on these adventures. And eventually she ruins his life. She completely destroys him physically, mentally, breaks him mentally, and eventually what happens is in this giant final battle, again, this is, it's showing all this in the first episode, the healer suddenly realizes that the healing abilities are actually the most powerful magic abilities that exist. He discovers this through a couple of different things by being clever about what healing actually means and your interpretation of what healing is. And he was able to acquire this device or gem, I believe it is, that can, essentially it's almost like the Infinity Gauntlet, like it can do kind of anything. And he uses that to betray the group that he's part of, that he's kind of enslaved with, and basically redo his life. But redo his life with all of the knowledge he already has. So this is a tale of absolute revenge at all costs. And he uses all the information he knows about his life he already lived up to that point to redo his life, only knowing the outcomes that'll happen. He changes what he's going to do in order to seek revenge on these people who have actually not yet done something to him, but certainly will be based on the life he already lived. And so he is absolutely committed to this revenge. And so much so, I will tell you just straight off the bat, that the acts that he does and the things that he does are irredeemable. They're absolutely irredeemable. He is a completely irredeemable character, and that is actually why I lost a lot of interest in it. And I want to say this again, I love an anti-hero. I love going against the grain. Rising of S.H.I.E.L.D. hero, great anti-hero. Venom from the Marvel Comics and my beloved Harley Quinn, they're all anti-heroes, and they're done right. They're people who make mistakes but have redeemable qualities, and they kind of go back and forth. Rarely do they ever do something so irredeemable that you're not interested in following that anymore. And that's where this goes. And make no mistake, it's not just the main character. It's the supporting characters as well are all horribly irredeemable, to the fact there's only really one character that it seems like they have any redeeming qualities, and they're still pretty bad. They're just maybe, and you actually feel sorry for that character. So, and I'll make no mistake, through his revenge, again, he does some irredeemable things. I mean, he's a rapist. Plainly, that's to put it plainly. Even in the uncensored version, you still know that happened. Even if you don't see it, you still know that happened in the plot. So right off the bat, that's going to turn a ton of people off. And I totally get the idea of taking people through a journey where somebody is not necessarily always in the right and doing bad things, and I also get that perhaps the idea of this story is not telling it from the perspective of a hero. It's telling it from the perspective of how a villain sees themselves as the hero, but they're actually the villain. And because I've always believed in the concept that no person that's a bad guy believes they are the bad guy. They think they're doing the right thing. They think they're a hero, and because of that, they are willing to do absolutely despicable, horrible, irredeemable things because they think they're doing it in the name of good. And that's maybe the worst kind of person that there can be. And that is this character, and that is the Princess Flare character. They're horrible, and neither one of them are you don't feel bad for them, you don't feel good for them, you're just kind of disgusted by their activity as you go through this whole thing. Now, there's a great character, and so Flare is just an asshole princess, basically, and she also enslaves people and gets them addicted to drugs. Setsuna is pretty cool. She's actually a slave, so she's a slave that he buys, so again, he owns slaves, so that, again, pretty irredeemable, but she is this, like, cool kind of a wolf girl with these ice powers that creates these like ice claws and stuff like that. She's pretty awesome, but she hates humans and just slices them to ribbons, so she's a murderer. But she's probably the most likable character in the entire show, and you look forward to seeing her on screen because she's pretty crazy and she's kind of wild. And again, she just slices people and has some cool moves. She's a great character. What gets done to her is awful, but she's a cool character. Conceptually, the idea of time travel for revenge. I think we all kind of can agree like that would be cool to go back to high school and with the knowledge I have now seek revenge on the people who did me wrong or whatever. But the real question, I think, if I had to get some kind of like main message that this show I believe is trying to send and maybe not doing it in the right way, is that sometimes we become monsters. For all the right reasons, we become monsters. And that, I think, is the concept of the show. And if that's what they're trying to get at, then they did it pretty well. And the idea that it's difficult to watch is probably a good thing. There was a movie from back in the early 80s called I Spit on Your Grave. And it's an intense show, essentially, about somebody who gets raped and then takes revenge on the people who raped them. They redid it, I think, in like 2006 or something like that. It's difficult to watch. It's a very difficult to watch movie, but it's one I kind of recommend that people watch because it's supposed to be difficult to watch, and the idea is that it's being told through this. And so I get that, but this is done in a different way. So I'll be honest, again, conceptually cool, but the characters are too irredeemable. At this point, there's nothing they can do to make up for what they've already done in the first 5 episodes. And I've only gotten about 5 episodes in. Now, again, I recommend Rising of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hero. Good show in the same kind of sword and sorcery world. Definitely an anti-hero, and think bad things happen and good things happen, but it's got a bit of a flow, and the character grows a little bit more as opposed to just essentially becoming evil. There was a show called Overlord that did it really pretty well as well. It was more comedic, but again, I would recommend those rather than something like this. Again, we're all capable of being monsters kind of thing. So anyway, I feel like I wanted this to be more comedic, but this is kind of heavy, and now I wanted it to be a funny review, but it's really not that funny, and the show, I really don't recommend it. I mean, the animation's fine, the theme music's fine, but honestly, I mean, you can watch it just for kind of if you're curious. If you watch episode 1, even censored or uncensored, you're going to get the whole idea of the entire show. It's the entire show is that way, and maybe that's all you need to watch. Again, not for the kids, not for the squeamish. This isn't like a one to sit down and everybody enjoy. It's pretty rough. So anyway, enough about that. I want to talk a little bit about the snack that we have tonight. And tonight we have the Fry's Private Selection Beef Jerky. And as part of Alcohol and Anime Night, we always review some of the snacks and alcohol we have. Of course, I'm enjoying an Asahi beer, one of my favorites. We'll review this at another time. It's kind of special, so I'm going to save that, but got to enjoy that as well. So Fry's Private Selection actually has some incredible beef jerky. I'm a big fan. It's a must-have for Alcohol and Anime Night. Alcohol and Anime Night needs 4 things: alcohol, anime, popcorn, and snacks like beef jerky and M&Ms and stuff like that. It's an essential component. You must have all these things. So the first one that I got, and I was trying to get it and actually couldn't find it, was the Wagyu beef and whiskey with a honey flavor. That one is delightful. So if you can find that one, pick it up at your local Fry's. Lately, I haven't been able to find it. I suspect other people have been turned on to it and are stocking up because when the apocalypse hits, they're going to have some tasty beef jerky. This one's not bad, the carne asada one. It's got a little bit of a tequila, I believe, in it, and jalapeno. Actually, this one has jalapeno. There's another one that has tequila flavor in it. That's pretty good as well. Kind of both Southwestern feels to it, so definitely give those a shot. Add them to your alcohol and anime nights that you guys are having. Let me know if you have some good beef jerkies, good snacks, good alcohol you want me to try out. My belly's always ready for more. But I thank you guys for joining me for episode 2. Again, I excuse my crazy headphone and my wonky camera. We're moving through these first couple episodes to see what we can improve. Thank you to everybody who made suggestions on what we can do to improve it, and I think it's already moving forward. So again, my name was Scott. It's been great to have you guys. Like, subscribe. Again, even if you hate the video, like it and then tell me why you hate it. Again, it's been great to have you, and as always, kanpai.